I'm Johnny Smith.
I'm Richard Porter.
And this is Smith & Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and Sade. Of course, it's spring now, coming into summer, so the garden's getting busier. Things are blooming. This is the voice of Monty Don, obviously, keen gardener. Nice and relaxing. So this is the perfect time.
Relaxing.
It's the perfect time to go out in your local town or your village. What I've done is I've cloned a lot of Audi keys. I'll go and find the nearest RS4. I tend to bring it back into my garden in the dead of night, and I find very, very thin tyres. Snow tyres are often perfect. And you can dig some incredibly effortless beds around the perimeter of your own garden and then put the car back afterwards. It's effortless. Then what I've done is when the sun comes out, the other thing I really enjoy doing, I go out for a very early pre-dawn walk. I find a couple of Defenders and I remove the doors, the bonnet and the tailgate, and they make a really good raised bed as well. And because I haven't paid for them, they're simply free.
Car theft gardening with Monty Don.
It's cardening. Remember, it's cardening.
Cardening, yes. We did talk about this, didn't we?
And I think this is the time. It'll be peak cardening soon.
Funny enough, later today, I'm expecting an appearance from the unexpectedly bald man that I mentioned on a previous show, because he's coming over to tidy up my garden.
Is he like the smoking man from the X-Files? Do you remember the X-Files with the smoking man?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite a sinister dude, wasn't he?
And then, hang on, what was that song?
What, the
I know.
Tune to the
it was
X-Files,
one week was the song.
What about the X-Files?
No, there's that song that we're watching X-Files with no lights on, with Don LeMay on. Fucking terrible lyric that always used to make me go a bit.
Who did that?
Go jangly.
Who did that? Don LeMay on.
We're watching X-Files with no lights on with Don LeMay on. I hope the smoking man's in this one. Was the lyric. It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
It's actually a pretty shit song now.
Canadian people.
I'm going to have to look it up. Here we go.
Chicken of China, the Chinese chicken.
Shut up. Bare Naked Ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies, that was it. Well, they didn't have another hit, I don't think. So I'll give them their one hit. I'll give them it.
I bet they did in Canada.
Well, I bet they did with the Smoking Man.
Because they're Canadian, so they're from Scarborough in Ontario, according to Wikipedia. So
Scarborough, Ontario.
Yeah, anyway, let's not get bogged down in discussing the Bare Naked Ladies. But yeah, that lyric in that song...
Does it make you...
Oh, it makes me really, like, all my internal organs sort of curl up like a snail.
I don't know if anybody ever learnt all the lyrics. It's lyrically heavy song, isn't it? Very heavy.
Yes, it's a busy song. There's a lot. They've squeezed... That's part of the problem. They've squeezed too many words in.
You'd never have, like, say, 4 shots of Black Sambuca and go, come on, let's do karaoke. I'm gonna rack one up. Let's do... I know, that song by the Bare Naked Ladies. I can't remember it. But it'll be on the system. Get it up. Can you imagine the ball? The ball would be just thrashing through the lyrics. The ball will be thrashing through the lyrics, and of course your algae-soaked brain will be going, oh, fuck. I'm not going to keep up with this. I'm really not. It's a bit like the... when you see greyhound racing and the electric hair on the rail, sort of monorail hair, I don't know what you call it. It always fascinated me more than the actual running dogs.
Yes, always. Me too. Because it has a little house that it goes into, doesn't it? Because otherwise the dogs would just tear it to pieces. So at the start and the end, it has to zoom into a little house.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to feature the sort of the engineering and the spec behind it. What's its 0 to 60?
Oh, it's massive.
Well, because it is a hare, isn't it? It's supposed to be a hare.
Yeah. A rabbit, yeah.
Rabbit, yeah. I suppose aerodynamically.
Because, yes, let the dog see the rabbit. Is that coming from greyhound racing?
Yeah, I thought it was Paddy McGuinness saying that when he does that dating show.
Did you... I like that show. We used to... It was a little bit of a...
What was it?
Saturday night.
Something Me Out. Was it Take Me Out?
Take me out, yeah.
Take me out.
Take me out. But before we had kids, my wife and I, it would be if we weren't out on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
It struck that perfect thing. When you get old enough that you don't always have to go out on a Saturday night, but before you have children, so you usually stay in anyway. In that little uncanny valley, we just make a massive bowl of spag bol or something, and open a nice bottle of red wine and sit and watch Take Me Out. But I realised that as that series went on, his Let the Dog See the Rabbit and all of that started to become increasingly nonsensical. They were just like, let the Vauxhall see the Astra. And that doesn't make any sense. You've just taken a word pairing that exists and split it apart for the purposes of your formatted intro.
It's not quite right, is it? I think he shouldn't have given it up.
I don't think he did. I think they retired the show, didn't they?
I reckon he quit because of Top Gear. I reckon he thought his schedule's going to be too busy. I reckon if he hadn't got a job on Top Gear, then Take Me Out might still exist. But I could be wrong. We might have to ask a few friends, who will know the true answer. And maybe Paddy's a listener.
See, I thought that Take Me Out ended about 3 or 4 years ago. Did it not?
Seriously, Rich, I don't know, Rich. Honestly,
Come on, why
in my
don't you
whole
know these
life, I've
things?
probably watched 5 episodes. And I enjoyed all of them, don't get me wrong. It's
the brain retains useless information. Let's be honest, I've just been able to recite some of the Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, yeah. It's been 1 week
lyrics.
since you looked
They're in my brain. That was in there. Didn't have to look it up. That was in there. I'm carrying that around with me. Cannot. Do you ever do this? If you said to me at gunpoint, when's your son's birthday? I have to take a breath to make sure I get it right.
Oh, completely.
I always just get a bit jumbled which year he was born in and things because I get my kids mixed up. And
completely. But yeah, my wife the other day asked me what inspired me to paint my Chevrolet the colours that it was, and I recited the name of the guy that built the show car in the States in the late 90s, what lowrider club he was from, what year it came out in the magazine, and I hadn't even thought about that for about a decade at least. And she just looked at me and she went, "I can't believe you just know that." And I went, "Well, neither can I. I'm almost ashamed, frankly."
Yeah. It's like I was out for a run this morning and I remembered a fact about the Austin Maestro and I was just like, again, carrying that.
That's
carrying
baggage.
it.
That's baggage.
Baggage, but,
Yeah.
I've just looked this up. Take Me Out.
Take Me Out.
Let the wiki see the pedia. And I wouldn't have submitted that one.
Let the pedo see the wiki. Yeah. That's a dangerous comment.
Oh, my God. So it says on the 10th of February 2020, ITV announced that the show was axed after 11 series. 8 couples who met on the show subsequently got married, and 6 babies were born to contestants who met on the show. So, sort of happy ending.
So,
okay. You're right. It was only last year that it was axed. I hate it when they say shows axed because it sort of ignores how TV works.
Yeah.
Axed makes it sound like someone literally went down to the production office with an axe and sort of cleaved in twain a couple of laptops just to teach them a lesson. And it's not, is it? Shows just don't get renewed, which is a bit different.
Yeah, and the renewal process is actually really long and drawn out and quite boring. Yeah. So they probably ummed and ahed about it for about a year.
Yeah.
It's not an accurate reflection, I would say.
It's in some ways it's getting worse as well because the streaming services such as Netflix or Amazon Prime, they can see very precise data about who's watching and for how long and all of that sort of stuff, which they don't share with the people who make the programs. They just have a policy of not doing that. But internally, they know exactly who's watching and when and for how long. So if you stop watching a show, they know that you gave up on it. They know if you came back to it and picked it up a bit later. They know everything. And that level of data means they can use it to inform their decisions about whether things are recommissioned. But what it does is it turns recommissioning into a science rather than just a sort of gut feeling of, do you know what, this show was all right and the figures were pretty good on the old-fashioned way of calculating viewing figures, which is an extrapolation and not a real number. The streamers have real numbers, and so they just get all tied up in their data, which means that they spend a long time scratching their asses and looking at spreadsheets instead of just sort of cracking on.
Instead of being a little bit more free fall creative.
I think they might be in some cases where they have good vibes about a show, or it gets one of the things. My experience of working with Amazon was that they used to talk about noise, and they meant like how much it was being talked about on social media. Okay, noise. I mean, I should say, we didn't when we were doing the Grand Tour, the original 3 series of the Grand Tour. That was a commission. They commissioned 3 series, so we didn't have to go through that process. We just sort of cracked on. But I know someone who has got another show with a streaming service at the moment, waiting to hear if they've got the classic Alan Partridge, give me a second series, you shits. And, and it's taking forever.
I've actually given up pitching TV shows. I gave up about, 5 years ago, might have been. Can't remember. Because it's so much work and so little feedback often. And you think you've got a great idea and you just constantly, someone's just returning it back to you, or never actually returning it. Just, you never really know whether it's right or wrong.
But ultimately, so much is done on taking a punt.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows. The one that always gets me is Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
Like, nobody could have foreseen that to be a huge hit and a format that they were able to sell to the US and all sorts and all around the world. Because apart from anything else, back to basics, Strictly Come Dancing as a title is like, it's a reference to two extremely out of date things.
It is,
and it's inexplicable they were melded together, except that they both involve ballroom dancing. It's actually a pretty shitty title for a show that's become accepted because the show is huge and good and popular.
Yeah. Imagine if a car show was called I Insist You Drive With Me.
Get in and shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, get in, sit down, shut up might actually be I mean, it's a good old sticker that we've seen on many a car, but...
I don't think it would... That's
Clarkson's new show there, Rich.
It sounds a bit kidnappy. It's like our friend Jason Barlow fronted that show for BBC Two many years ago, which was... when it transmitted, it was called...
Is it Right Car?
Golly, I can't remember. Wrong Car, Right Car, was it? Or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was Right Car, Wrong Car. Yeah.
But the working title, in fact, not just the working title, the original title of that show was Carjack. And they filmed a load of it using that title. And I think they even had Jason saying to people, Jason, if I'm getting this wrong, I apologise, mate, but they said, I think they had him sort of going, surprising the punters who they were going to help find cars by going... You've been carjacked. And then they realised that carjacking was quite in the news at that time and people were getting hurt and stabbed and all sorts, and they realised that wasn't acceptable, so they hastily edited out all references to that and renamed the show.
Like, South African market's probably not going to be hugely get enthusiastic about a show called Carjacks. Sort of a weekly occurrence here. Not really down with that. Thanks.
Yeah, not funny. Thanks. Yeah. Oh, great. That was a new property show called You've Been Burgled. Brilliant. I'll give that a watch.
Is that like you?
Upsetting.
It's a mixture between Through the Keyhole and You've Been Framed. You've been burgled.
Without your permission, some interior designers break into your house and redo it. It's actually quite similar to our vigilante car detailing idea, which
I think is.
I guess we're not going to pitch to any TV executives.
No, of course we're not. But we'll self-commission it. No, we won't.
Yeah, well,
if
that's
the police
the way,
are listening. No, we won't.
I think the thing I was going to say about TV commissioning. Sorry, not to crap on about it too much on this car podcast. But have you ever read William Goldman's book Adventures in the Screen Trade? He was the bloke who wrote Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid and lots of other movies.
Oh no, I haven't.
Brilliant screenwriter. It's a fantastic book. It's sort of an autobiography, but focusing on his work, so it's interesting. It doesn't get bogged down in. And then, when I was 5, I remember a teacher called Miss Wilson. It's much better than that. And apart from anything else, he doesn't have a sort of bizarre Northern English accent. But one of his mantras in that is just people don't know what they're doing. No one knows what they're doing. It's all sort of just blithering around, blind luck, and trying to get things done. In the movie industry, he just went, no one knows what they're doing. He includes himself in that. I mean, his sort of obvious self-doubt is one of the things that makes the book quite heartening, because you go, hang on a minute, he wrote fucking Butch Cassidy and he's still riddled with this belief that he's not good enough. So it just sort of shows that no matter how high you climb, you can still be very human. But his mantra about no one knows what they're doing, I always think is quite a good one. Although I did once say this to a friend of mine who works in a totally different industry, and she went, I know what I'm doing. And I sort of went, yeah, but, I mean, but like, in truth, really? We're all bluffing it a little bit. And she went, no, honestly, I do know what I'm doing. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to pursue that line then, because it starts to sound insulting.
I got forwarded a car advert this morning on Car and Classic by the guy who's assembling my Impala, a friend of mine, Simon. And
yes.
And at first, he just said, "Do you see anything a bit unusual about this advert?" And I was looking at it, and the advert, I've just forwarded it to you. For a start, in the title, it doesn't have the name of the car. It just says 1965 Summer Cruiser for sale. So you just go, it's very vague.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Secondly, all the photos are screen grabs of the screen of the person's telephone. So they obviously haven't worked out. Yeah, okay.
I've just scrolled down.
Yeah.
This has got to be a gag, surely.
Do you know what I'm going to talk about, Rich? I'm going to talk about the fact they've got a Ford Thunderbird for sale, and in their camera roll, in their photo roll at the bottom, the tiny little thumbnails, it goes from pictures of the car to pictures of naked skin.
But I can't quite make it out. But so I think they're not. He's not taken these pictures. I'm assuming it's a man immediately because it's got nudie pictures and a Ford Thunderbird. But these look like a series of photos of just
I think somebody's just before going on Car and Classics, somebody's been looking at pornography, haven't they? Let's not deny that.
Is that surely a gag?
I don't know.
I mean, you wouldn't make such a mistake.
I think it's a gag. It's in Petworth in Sussex. In fact, should we read out their telephone number? Well, we might as well. I mean, they're obviously. But the description, the car looks great. A 65 Ford Thunderbird. Beautiful American classic, white with red interior, all original with interesting history, I bet. Daily runner in the summer, always gets attention from passers-by, no rust at all, runs well, 390 cubic inch.
At all.
I love that. I mean, it's a bold statement.
That's a very bold statement.
I mean, I always just gloss over that, because those are the sorts of people that don't actually get down onto their knees when they look at a car.
No, I know.
Those are people that look at the condition of the hubcaps and the edge of the wheel arch and go, oh yeah, rot free. And you go, right, all of the places that cars rot are where you never put a hose pipe. Where do you never put a hose pipe? Right underneath, in all of the nooks and crannies which nobody can be asked to get to. That's where it rots. So trust me, mate, you need a head torch and you need kneeling pads. And I don't mean one of your specialist nudie videos.
I think he probably does own kneeling pads, but for different
and a head torch.
I hope this guy's not a doctor.
Yeah.
I feel a bit strange. Do you think I've got cancer? So look at your hands? No, you're all right.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah. But what? Slapdash bold claims. No illnesses at all. I've looked in your eyes and you're definitely fit as a fiddle. Are you sure I don't need more tests? Nope. No, and if you excuse me, I have to get into my completely rust-free car. From the 60s to go and drive to... I bet he goes to... Hey, do you know what?
What?
Given the view of his camera roll that you can see at the bottom of that thing.
Yeah. Well, by the way...
It's just smut, Thunderbird for the ad, smut.
Yeah.
He's one of those people who goes to those smutty shops on the A1.
Oh, he's in A1. He's in A1.
I mean, I know Petworth's a bit far away, but I don't know. Maybe there's
Petworth's
it's a bit of a trek. You'd have to go around the M25 for a start. I mean, but maybe that's why he uses it daily in the summer for those long trips up the A1 to the grot shops
to look for trucker pamphlets. What?
And items.
I'm just really confused about it.
Amazing, right? Now, so what I'm going to do? Oh, goodness.
We will put this on for anyone that supports the Smith and Stiff podcast by Patreon. I'll put it on the Patreon.
But the problem is, somebody is going to
phone the man,
tell him, and he's going to pull this down. So I'm going to have to save these pictures.
Well, no, I mean his phone number's 01268
Don't
98. What?
That's actually his phone number, isn't it?
Yes, it's his landline.
But usually, no, it's not. It's a forwarding service. It is because it's Car and Classics.
Okay, so
that's okay. But don't all the same. Well, it's still a number that gets through to the man, I presume, in some way.
Well, the man, he's.
Please leave a message after the tone. You've got grot on your car advert, mate.
I was going to say, from what I can tell. Oh my gosh! Hang on a minute.
What?
Judging by two of those photos, I think that's not a real woman. I think it's those realistic dummies.
What?
I think it's one of those.
Which one?
Those real. How do I describe it to you over the phone?
I
don't. No, this is supposed to be a car-related podcast.
Yeah,
Actually, it is still car-related, isn't it?
I don't know. I think that particular planet is but a speck in the window of our spaceship now. But, hey, no, I've got a car thing that I was going to tell you. I was, yesterday, in fact, I heard the most unholy scraping. I mean, it was a horrible noise.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, I was inside a car at the time, and quite a quiet but well-insulated car. And
Lexus.
No, well, I'm driving that Land Rover Discovery Sport plug-in hybrid.
Oh, Disco Sports Fev.
Sport. Because I'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm driving it to review it. So I was driving that, and there was just this horrible scraping noise. Now, I was on the North Circular, the London Inner Orbital Road, and I was on one of those bits where it's basically a motorway, and the scraping
it's like the M25's more edgy brother.
Yeah, because it's one of those idiotic roads that sometimes it's one lane in each direction, sometimes it's 3 or 4, and you just pick one, and so it bottlenecks like a bastard, and goes through all manner of different areas. But I was on a big bit going around North London, and over the central reservation was the source of the scraping noise, which was a recovery truck that was dragging a Toyota Avensis. It had got hoiked up in the air. The front was all smashed in. It was crabbing behind the truck, and the arse of it was scraping along the ground, and he was driving down basically a fucking motorway like that. And I was just like, what are you doing?
What, completely oblivious to the...
Well, yeah, but it was so loud that I could hear it sort of like 50 feet away at least. Oh. It was a horrible noise. I just go, what in the name of all that's holy are you playing at? I only thought of it as well because I was like...
Had it worn through the tyres?
No, I don't think it worn through the tyres. I think it was the back of the car.
Actual back
He got
of
it
the car.
hoiked up at too extreme an angle.
An acute angle.
But then also, the car was visibly not straight. It wasn't following in a straight line. It was crabbing for various reasons. I mean, the whole car looked a bit like a parallelogram, like it had been in some bizarre whack, but I thought the weirdest thing.
I mean, I thought you were going to say was dragging it sort of in park, like dragging a stubborn child into a shop.
No,
who's refusing to go.
But it's a long time since I've seen a sort of, because you see old, knackered cars being hoiked around on the back of trucks where they've been sort of, cruelly high-abbed onto the flatbed.
I bet you do in the capital. I don't see it so much here, unfortunately.
Do you not?
No, it's not so much dereliction. I mean, actually, I say that, I was just dropping one of the kids off at one of their after-school kind of clubs the other day, and someone's put a fairly new Clio into a hedge just about 1.5 miles down the road, and I was marvelling at what angle they'd hit this corner and obviously not gone round the corner and absolutely ruined it. And they were trying to sort of work out how to drag it out of the ditch and onto the back of the lorry. But that's the first time I've seen something like that in a while. I missed those times in London where there were a lot of ghetto cars.
Yeah,
riddling the streets. I know we've talked about that on various times before, but it was an era. It was a golden era for dereliction.
Yes, yeah. When scrap was
all-time
low, wasn't it? And the streets were littered with it, usually with the number plates prized off. But there still are.
Are there?
There still are cars that lurk around that you just go, when are you going to come and get this, or are you not? Is this it? Is this where this car lives? But I think it depends on someone to report it for not being taxed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just sit there and, like that Honda Jazz that I've mentioned before that enraged the old lady in my neighbourhood for being parked outside her house for about 8 months or something. And but I haven't seen inept towing for a long time where you just go, you can't not be hearing the noise.
No, you can't.
But you do.
No.
You clearly think it's okay, and it's okay enough to venture onto a fast-moving arterial road like that. That's bold. It's bold
or
decision.
it's zero F's given. It could be that.
Yeah, I think...
Running late, the car's used... They will have already made the assumption the car's irreparable.
Oh, yeah.
Or the owner of the car's been rude, and they're like, right, I'll teach you. The front's smashed in. Let's trash the back while we're there. By the time it gets to the yard, there'll be no part of it that anyone will want. And of course, these days, cars get written off so damn easily anyway, compared to the olden days when they put quite a lot of effort into resurrect a car. I know there weren't health and safety rules like there are now, but yeah, poor old Avensis. Not that I actually care about Avensi, but you know.
No, I know. Yeah, but then at the same time, they do that thing I was saying last week about the sort of admirable ability to just endure in a cockroach-like way. Sort of somehow makes them endearing. But that did remind me. We've had, speaking of cockroach cars and deceased spec cars as well, we're still getting loads of
we are, and I love them. I'm becoming really quite enthused about it, especially when our mutual friend, photographer Mark Riccioni, he sent me a message saying you can type "passed away" into Auto Trader keywords, and almost all the results fit the agenda that you were talking about in your podcast. So that's really good. You can narrow the search down to saying, I just want to buy a dead person's car. I'm not interested in alive people's cars, because that's just, there's a lot of baggage with deceased cars, and usually the baggage is, it's not my car, I've got to sell it. Dad's died, /grandpa/grandma/auntie, and let's just get this done. Put it on the trader, job done. Problem is, though, I've just spent the last, I think, what was it? Was it two podcasts ago? I've spent all of that time starting to look at cars again, and I'd sort of weaned myself off the car search. But it's come back because I keep getting K11 micros thrust under my nose and immaculate Kia Sedonas and stuff that nobody really wants.
Who wants an immaculate Kia Sedona? That is a good question.
Kia Sedona.
No one, I think.
No one. No. Yeah.
There's another Kia.
What, that nobody wants?
Around the corner from my house, there's another Kia, and it's do you remember that sort of short-lived boom in kind of MPV-shaped Fiesta-sized cars?
Yeah.
Like the Vauxhall Mariva being a great case in point. It was sort of, they bridged that gap between car makers went, okay, people are a bit bored of normal cars now, let's go. MPVs, they
mini
seem
MPV,
to be quite...
super mini MPV, I suppose.
Yeah, and they were ultimately pointless. And another terrible example of that I saw one yesterday, and I almost took a picture of it just to go, what an absolutely tedious pile of cack this was. The Golf Plus.
Oh, the Golf. The Golf Plus was the Golf with arthritis. That's all it was. I hated it.
Arthritis Golf.
It is an arthritis Golf. But, there are a couple of those which are good. I bet. Are you going to say the Kia Venga? Or was the Venga not a people carrier?
Is it... Well, see, this thing, there's one not like round the corner from me, and I go past it all the time. And every time I see it, I have to go, what is that thing called? Is it the Venga? See, look, I've forgotten again.
Or is it the Karens with a C?
It's like a sort of snub-nosed dullard of a car. It's just so inexplicable. Yes, the Kia Venga boys.
Is it the Venga?
Yeah,
I was right. I knew it was either that or the Karens, but the Karens is a bigger car, and I know that the
hang on. So which one's the Karens?
The name Karen is referred to as a sort of, is it a female gammon these days?
I think maybe the nuances are a little bit different, but it's used.
Femi gammon.
It's a bit more like. Maybe, yeah, but it's a bit sort of, it's like disparaging of the kind of. Don't they also, people sort of say it's like they describe it as someone who typically would demand to see the manager in any given situation,
or is it someone that doesn't believe any of the research, but hasn't done any research, so just kind of makes a very quick decision on quite a heavy, weighty, life impacting subject?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Seems like a lot of doctors are in favour of this, but my cousin on Facebook said it's bad, so I'm going to go with my cousin because she's family. Just go, fuck's sake.
I thought you were actually regaling a real anecdote then.
I wanted to read out a contribution on the subject of deceased Spec cars from a chap called Martin L, who is one of our patrons, and he put this on Patreon last week in reference to when we were looking at some of our other listeners' deceased Spec cars, and there was that Xantia with a lot of hand scum visible on the interior of the photos. Martin wrote on the Patreon, finding hand scum in a car is one thing, but I've encountered something worse. In 2010, I bought a dead man's 1997 Ford Escort Gear X for £500.
It's just so
sort of
perfect.
feel like people could read these out over a backing track. You know, like, do you remember that song Wear Sunscreen that was Baz Luhrmann?
Oh, yeah. Should we do our own version?
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 99. Wear sunscreen. Well, in
buy
2010,
dead
I bought
people's
a dead man's
cars.
1997. Anyway, he bought a Ford Escort Gear X. Fancy, for £500. Martin goes on to say, dynamically, it was complete cowpat, as you'd expect, but it was in amazing condition for a 13-year-old Ford Escort. The air conditioning worked a treat. It had new tyres and a 12-month MOT. I don't think I could have found cheaper motoring at the time.
You couldn't.
One oddity was that its 6-disc multi-changer under the passenger seats, brackets, remember when that was a thing?
I do.
Contained 2 CDs, and both of them were Sade's Diamond Life album. I guess he really
Double
liked
Sade! Double Sade!
I don't... What?
Double Sade! I don't get it. I don't. It doesn't matter that I don't get it. It's brilliant. So hang on. He either forgot that he'd bought it, or did he think it was a different music album by Sade, and he thought, I'll buy the other one. And it wasn't the other one. It was the same one.
Is it possible that she reissued it, and this guy went, I like Sade so much, I'm going to buy the reissue and just pop that in the old changer as well, because it's been remastered.
Unless one of them was signed, perhaps. Oh, I love that. I love that about it.
But then why would you'd keep that for best, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would keep that for best. Yeah.
Maybe I
quite like, sort of late night driving, I could put a bit of Sade on.
Poor old Sade gets sort of remembered for smooth operator, doesn't she, basically? And actually
she's a bit cabaret.
Her canon is much broader than that, and she's got a really, really amazing voice, but as the former owner of this Escort would attest, I liked it so much I bought it twice. That's
I'm searching
CD
for reasons.
I'm just going to read this again because it's so brilliant. The one odyssey was its 6-disc multi-changer under the passenger seat contained 2 CDs, and both of them were Sade's Diamond Life album. But that's not the reason that Martin has written this. He says, after owning the car for a few months, I was taking a friend to hockey practice, and he couldn't believe what an amazing purchase it was for £500. He then asked what the stuff above my head was. Didn't know what he was talking about, so I looked up. Oh, sweet Jesus. The headlining directly above the driver's seat had that greasy layer of matted, knotted hair baked into the headlining and sort of smeared from the driver's side door to just above the driver's head. I retched hard several times. Clearly, the dead man who had once loved both Escorts and Sade was quite a tall man with some mobility issues. Every time he got in the car, he must have smeared his large ginger head over the headlining, leaving a trail of slimy ginger hair, and I hadn't noticed it until my friend had pointed it out. If you didn't know better, you'd have sworn someone had beaten a fox to death.
Oh, God.
Needless to say, after at least half an hour of intense scrubbing and different chemicals, I did manage to get it all gone. I got rid of the car after about 6 months because every time I drove it, I thought about the hair smear.
Oh, hair smear. Do you know what I would have done in that, just as a finale on the detailing cleansing front? I would have definitely decanted some Brute into one of those weed sprayers, and I would have soaked the whole headlining in it, and then left the doors open for a couple of hours just to really get it going. That would have been... Oh, my God, what an amazing story. Thank you for that.
Martin, that is... we get a lot of great emails and messages and things, but that
was up there.
Stands out as an absolute corker, both for the Sade and the use of the expression hair smear. So thank you ever so much.
I am going to read out one other quick story because it's similar and it had me chuckling, and it's from Pedro Lonsdale on in Instagram. Loved the podcast about hand scum. Quick note on that. Post-divorce, I needed a cheap estate car. I bagged a Mark 1 Focus Gear Estate for 400 sheets. Everything worked on it. And bizarrely, it had 10 months MOT too. I'm not sure why that was bizarre. But however, the steering wheel, full stop. I got the disinfectant wipes out, and by merely brushing against the wheel, it would instantly turn jet black. 40 wipes, 2 buckets of soapy water later, I had what I thought was a clean steering wheel. Cracking car, though. Had the best of Queen, Sounds of the 60s Volume 3. and a reggae mix party CD stuck in the CD.
Sorry. Read those again.
It had the best of Queen.
Best of Queen.
The Sounds of the 60s Volume 3. and a reggae mix party CD stuck in the in-dash CD player. I fixed that by giving it a really hard thump.
That is one of those people on Popmaster, isn't it? What kind of music do you like? And they go,
a bit of everything.
Bit of everything, Ken.
Yeah.
Bit of everything,
60s.
bit of 60s.
Love Freddie and Queen.
I love reggae.
Yeah, reggae's good. It lightens the mood, really relaxes me.
In the summer, I love a bit of reggae and then a bit of Queen and then a bit of 60s.
I go out in the garden and what I do is I burn a load of cheap meat and then I listen to Bob Marley. And that's my thing.
Okay, we're going to move on. It's one of those contestants on Popmaster where Ken Bruce is obviously struggling. Just, throw me a line here, please. Say something interesting. But I like a bit of everything, Ken. Well, let's check the CD changer of your Ford Focus. Oh, gosh, yes, you really do.
That's what he should do. He should send someone round unannounced. And just go, hi, I'm from BBC Radio 2. Go, oh, wow, that's a bit strange. Did you apply for Popmaster? Yeah, I did, actually. Right. Give me the keys to your car. Stay in the house. Go, ooh, that's a bit weird. Okay. And they go straight out to the car and they find an iPod or a CD. I mean, there's probably very few.
I was going to say, I think this is like 15 years too late to do the multi-changer
roulette
investigation.
This is multi-changer roulette, though, isn't it? That's what it is. And then, or they check the radio station and they go, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You've applied for Popmaster on Radio 2. You're actually listening to Smooth. How dare you? How dare you? That is ridiculous.
Well, if Ken got really militant about things. Okay, before we start, one of our researchers came to your house and found that in your car you're listening to Magic FM. Yeah. You Judas. You fucking traitor. No, you're not playing the quiz today. Fuck off.
I'm really sorry,
Ken's
Ken.
gone off on
I was
one
having
again.
an.
I'm sorry, Ken. No, it's too late.
I lent the car to my friend. They just must have changed the station or the local garage.
The last time I was driving, it was Sarah Cox. I just don't like her accent. Well, now you're a racist as well. Get off my show. Anyway, where were we? I can't remember. Oh,
Do you like it when you take your car in for a service or an MOT and the radio station is changed? I find that quite offensive.
I find that invasive.
I've had Kiss left on mine. I've had Capital, all sorts stuff that I don't tend to listen to. Kissery, I might let it off.
It's rude, isn't it? I mean, I'm sort of of the mind, particularly in a car that doesn't have electric memory seats, that the garage staff should leave your seat where it is, even if that makes the car quite hard to manoeuvre for them. It's just a courtesy, because when you get back in your car and you go,
I bet in Germany
they
leave
position.
Marks of measurement.
Chalk marks.
I bet they do, and they go, you need to put the seat back there, and they'll just casually do it. And even though the MOT tester is 6'9", they still put it back exactly. Because the thing is, if they were to drive it in exactly the same seat position, like if I get in the car when my wife has the seat adjusted, some cars I can't actually get in. I can't get my knees behind the wheel, so I find myself possibly trying to drive a car in a very dangerous position.
Have you ever got into a car that someone shorter than you has been driving and as you try and wedge yourself into that small space, you feel like you're going to put your back out. It's it's a perilous moment, I think. And you have to particularly if it's manual seat, and you've got to jiggle yourself backwards before you tear a ligament or something. My old executive producer from Top Gear and the Grand Tour, Andy Willman, was famous for rarely adjusting car seats in cars that he got into that someone else had been driving. So we used to make it a game. You know, if we got a press car knocking around the office and it was like, oh, right, Willman's going to take this tonight, he'd put the seat either really far back or really far forward when you got out. And then hopefully you'd catch him leaving work and you could see if he'd bothered to. And once we did a seat on like really big recline, and we saw him driving out of the car park, just sitting upright, like he was sitting on an ottoman with no back on it, just driving. Just put the fucking seat up again.
Why? Why was he an adjustment refuser? Why?
I don't know. he was one of those adjustment deniers that you hear about.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I don't know.
That's amazing.
I don't know. He was absolutely famous for it. It was at TV's Jeremy Clarkson alerted us to this because him and Andy are old mates. And so Jeremy had clocked it years ago and he just went, Willman never adjusts the seat if he can help it. So you just really fuck him up by putting the seat in a stupid position and he'll just drive off like that.
I quite like it when if the steering wheel has adjustable reach. I like putting it so far into the dash, where it looks like it's starting to get buried a bit.
Or it looks like the car has Procon 10 that's gone off. Dated nerdy references.
I do quite like it. I sometimes get if a car gets delivered like a test car, I'm always clocking the interesting driving postures of different people, and sometimes it's the seat.
Bloody hell though, because sometimes those, I know this is a bit but when you do the job that we do, sometimes you get cars delivered to your house usually by a sort of genial retiree who's earning a few extra quid delivering cars for car makers, and they'll come to the front door and they seem like a sort of normally proportioned average height person, but when you then get into the car they've just vacated, the one for me that I always find is they've got the seat height like right up, and you just go, but you look to me to be about 5'11", so you must have had to drive here with your head all canted over, unless they've all been doing the trick to journalists,
the Willman trick
that we used to do to Willman, where they just go, I'm going to drop this car off. Before I do, I'm going to put the driving position into something fucking idiotic.
That's a great idea. And also the other thing, put the heated seat on full bore, but the air con on like 14. So you go, what's going on? What's going on? Is this person flu-like? Is this person showing some terrible flu-like symptoms? What's going on? I've regularly
my back's hot, but my face is cold.
I have regularly got in a car before, I'm sure I've told you this, where it's just absolutely on care home setting. You're like, it's on 27. Who in their right mind needs it on 27? Like, the air that I'm breathing in is baking my lungs. Like, nobody needs that. Like, 22, never beyond 22. Who needs more than 22 for crying out loud?
Yeah.
This is daft.
My wife has this, and this sometimes applies to the home heating as well. As you know my wife, she's a very intelligent woman, but she doesn't understand how thermostats work. So if she gets in the car and it's very cold, she will crank it to like 28 or something, and you go, no, just put it on like 22 or 23
and
it'll find that temperature for you. That's how it's programmed to work. She refuses to be. It got to the point where on some long journey, and she kept doing it. I was like, don't. Now it's going to get too hot, and then you're going to have to turn it right down, and then you'll turn it down to 16, and then you're in this eternal cycle of extremes of temperature. I got so annoyed. But okay, feeling a bit too sweaty now. What's the solution? 16. Or even better, can you make the display say low? Spell L-O.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I said, right, do you know what? I'm going to get hold of someone who designs heating and ventilation systems for a car company, and I'm going to speak to them, and I'm going to get them to explain to you how thermostats in cars work. And I never did.
But it's the household thermostat's an ongoing issue.
I mean, if anyone listening is an HVAC engineer, please do get in touch, and I can pass it on to my wife, because she is still prone to extremes of temperature in cars. And now on Shelf 5, extremes of temperature.
Starring
In
HVAC.
cars.
Inspector HVAC.
Inspector HVAC.
Yeah, he knows.
D.I. Hyab.
Oh, yeah, Hyab's definitely in there. Yeah. Oh, I know. Talking right at the start about cardening and things.
Yeah.
A friend of mine down the road who I saw in the pub recently it was quite special going to I've been to the pub twice in 2 weeks.
Me too. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was bastard cold.
Yeah.
I had a fleece on and a puffer jacket on, so I actually felt like a gardener, but or someone that works on Countryfile. But all I was doing is drinking and talking about the good old times. But the guy down the road, bless him, Graham, he's a nice bloke. He's got a Discovery 2. And he's had it for quite a while. So it's one of the very last of the Discovery 2 Land Rovers. He digs it. But the other day, I asked, I can't remember why, we were talking about car cleanliness or something. I know, because his wife's car is a plug-in hybrid and he was having issues with the sockets not quite going home into the plug. So he borrowed my charger to see if it was his charger. Anyway, I said, do you clean your Discovery off? And he went, no. He said, I'm never getting rid of the moss in the window channels. You can't. And he looked at me and he paused quite a while before he chuckled. And I said, I reckon it's a bit of a rite of passage for old school Discovery owners to keep the moss, the algae around the window rubbers, because they do seem to suffer from it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one of the last cars with traditional window rubbers rather than your sort of bonded on glass.
Yeah, I think it is.
They still have trad rubbers, don't they?
They do, because I think it has two-piece doors, as in the window frames bolt onto the lower door.
I think they do.
Rather than it being a one-piece pressing or anything, or welded on. I think it's old school.
Like an old-fashioned, 60s car or a 70s Range Rover.
Well, that's it, because that's where the doors
Yeah.
are from, isn't it? And even,
Yeah.
I think, probably structurally, the doors on a Disco 2, although they reskinned the outside, I think they're still basically Range Rover doors from the 70s.
I bet they really are.
Someone told me that those old school doors that you barely notice it, but when they're bolted on, that the top frame can actually move slightly, and at speed, the tops of the doors are basically being sucked out a little bit and breaking free of their seal, which is why they're a bit of a nightmare, and car companies figured out eventually a better way of doing it, but Land Rover obviously didn't. Also, the moss is a heritage feature, isn't it? Because the Defenders, mine included, build up a healthy layer of moss in the window runners if you don't keep on top of it, and I think maybe the Discovery's just carrying on that noble tradition.
Is it heritage algae?
Heritage algae, yeah.
Yeah.
Good old traditional British algae.
Heritage
Not algae. Algae's in the sea, isn't it? It would just be moss, wouldn't it?
No, you can have... what's the stuff that when you leave a car under a tree for too long, you get mildewy type stuff? That's algae. Algae's not...
Is it?
I think algae's not just sea sub-aqua. I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to use this browser tab that I've got currently looking at Sade's Diamond Life album.
Are you?
I'm going to look at algae, which is a tough one to spell. Algae is...
I love the term algal because it's just not used enough. It's just... And it sounds like the Algarve. So I'm just going on holiday to the Algal. Oh, are you? That sounds nice. A bit murky, is it? A bit overcast.
Oh, so seaweed is technically algae.
Yes, it is. It's a type of algae, yeah.
Algae makes much of the Earth's oxygen.
Yeah, it does. It does. I respect the algae.
This is too complicated. Why can't someone just reduce it to a very simple sentence, this vastly complicated thing?
I'm thinking of... You got me bloody thinking of Sade now. Sade.
You got me thinking about Sade.
What does Sade drive now?
Oh, do you know what?
What does Sade drive?
She's very sophisticated, isn't she?
She is. And smooth.
Hang on. Oh, I really...
But it would have to be something that was a little...
Wikipedia
that had exotic colours. She's not a silver or grey car girl.
No.
She's just not. She would never... She'd want a bit of colour.
Do you know what Sade's real first name is?
Debbie.
Helen.
Is it? Is her surname Sade?
No, it's Adu. So net worth, I mean, this is all Wikipedia, so let's not assume
that's not fact, Rich. You're going against journalistic principles.
According to Wikipedia, asterisk, her net worth as of 2015 was 50 million quid.
Yeah, well, her albums have sold multi-platinum for years because it's the candlelit potential penetration music.
Well, you see, I thought what used to be referred to as dinner party music, isn't it? So it's sort of nice and soft and sophisticated for the background of candles going and oh, you must give me this recipe.
I do like a couple of her songs.
Yeah, I feel like I might, when we finish this, I might go and listen to some Sade.
Yeah.
But not Smooth Operator, just get, remind myself.
Ordinary Love. Ordinary Love's a good one.
Yeah, oh yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a drum machine.
It's got a very sort of haunting kind of minor key kind of thing, hasn't it?
It has.
There's a sadness to it. So I wanted to look this up because there was something that I thought I knew, and it turns out I was right. She was born in Nigeria, but she was brought up in Essex.
Yes.
And I think this is important because it might inform what car she drives. So here's what we know about Sade.
Does she live in Essex now?
I'm going to try and find out.
I don't think she does. I would like to say she lives in Tobago now.
She's very rich.
Yeah,
I think she probably has houses all over the shop.
Yeah.
Would be my... I'm going to... oh, hey, look. Well, again, asterisk, it's Wikipedia. In 2005, Sade moved to the Gloucestershire countryside, where she bought a run-down cottage to renovate.
What?
Sade rarely grants interviews.
Oh,
weird
God.
that they've lumped that together in the same paragraph. But
I bet she does an interview if Screwfix like, listen, we'll give you all the stuff you need for your cottage renovation. Can we just get a 16-second clip of that you collecting your cladding? Could you do that? I'd be like, what?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, listen, you'll get full staff discount on all of this, all of these breeze blocks and everything. If you just say, "Hi, I'm Sade, and I love Howdens," and
they're a very hashtag smooth operator. Yes, our customer service is. Oh, Sade, what are you doing? I just needed. It's fine.
Right, I'm going to do this now.
They're offering 600 quid's worth of gear, so why not?
Sometimes when you type question into Google, you start to type something, but then it prompts you as if it thinks it knows what you want. And often it'll be something where it's mind-bogglingly idiotic, like, can you eat pebbles or something? And you go, who's asking this for fuck's sake? But I'm now going to type into Google, where does Sade live? And it says, it comes back with the Gloucestershire line.
It's interesting that she lives in Gloucestershire. I had her as a Paradise Island girl, but you know what? She's probably got a... She's going to have a holiday home with a moke somewhere, isn't she?
Definitely.
Or a Mahari.
Yeah.
Is she a Mahari girl? Or is she neither? Is she Suzuki Vitara?
Well, because I was going to say she might be Suzuki SJ.
Yeah, I mean, she might have She might have a Vitara that's been with her for some time, and she's just retired it out there, and it's got, it's got the white vinyl top.
Yeah, I'm going to say, she's got a really low mileage.
One day we're going to find true facts about these people. Yeah. Rather than just pure speculation.
If you're listening and you know Sade, or you are Sade,
yes,
get in touch. We don't want to do an interview because we know that she doesn't do interviews. No, we just want to know what she drives, what she maybe did drive. See, I can't help thinking that in the 80s she might have had an XJS convertible.
No. It's too old.
Do you think not?
No, it's too old school for her. She would have sooner had a Mercedes R129 SL.
Oh, yeah.
She would have. I bet she had one of those in a very aquamarine colour. Ooh, suits her.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, because you're right. She definitely wouldn't have a boring sort of like white or silver or black one. She would have. No, it would have to be aquatic colours. A jazzy but tasteful colour. Yeah. Please, Sade. I'm now scrolling through a GQ interview with her, which is just. There's all this stuff. There's about how she got her name. Sade is an abbreviation of her real Nigerian name, and there's a load of stuff about how many records she's sold, and she's 62. Oh my god, she looks amazing. She looks about 42, right? Yeah, I know, it's amazing. Just like Grace Jones. Grace Jones doesn't look. She stopped aging in her mid-40s. Right. Well, I've scrolled all the way through this Sade article now. Here we go. Well, right at the bottom, it says...
I drive a Kia Carens. The end.
Yeah. No, sorry, not a Karen's. It's that other one. I can never remember the name of it. Wenger, that's it.
Wenger. Well, hang on a minute. Could we drive the scenic route to Gloucestershire, and could we record a podcast from Sade's studio back garden or whatever it is? That would be amazing.
This kind of relies on the cooperation of Sade, doesn't it? But
yeah,
let's just definitely stick it on the list.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen. We could say to it, look, Smith and Sniff is in its own department category. It's regularly UK's most listened to automotive podcast.
What if she went, yeah, I know,
and she'll just look at you and go, I've sold 50 million albums.
Yeah, I don't need this. I absolutely do not need this.
I appreciate your politeness, but I'm sorry, I just don't care.
Do you know what? I'm going to say that she lives in Gloucestershire.
Yeah.
She's very rich.
Yeah.
She's very private.
Yeah. And down to earth, I reckon.
Yeah, and I think she's quite tasteful.
Yeah, I do.
So I reckon she's got a Subaru Legacy Outback. Old one.
Oh, no!
So Gloucestershire low profile.
I'd love it. I'd love it if she did. I bet you not now, but maybe in the late 80s, I bet she had a Saab 900 Carlson. Because
I think she'd have had a convertible, though.
She would look stunning in a Carlson, wouldn't she?
Do you know what I haven't done? Which is obviously a schoolboy error, is I haven't just Googled Sade car.
Oh, you're a twat, aren't you?
Some kind of...
I mean, the fact that the last 4 podcasts have involved you spending half the podcast on Google.
I know.
You absolute stroker. Come on.
This is going to require further.
By the way, whenever I call people strokers, I realise it's certainly in American hot rod terms. That's obviously a stroked engine, and it's not seen as an insult. But
I know somebody sent us a message, which obviously I won't be able to find now at short notice, but saying that they hate it when car ads, like eBay ads, are absolutely just like headache inducing because they just have too much information in them.
As in, is it the terminology, or is it just too thorough?
Yeah, info? I can't find that message. Whoever it was, I apologise, but they sent the text from an advert for a Subaru, which listed all the mods that had been done to it. And I don't normally get migraines, but it gave me a headache just reading this impenetrable, unpunctuated list of slightly meaningless parts being listed out, but it started by saying stroker, and
stroker.
Yeah, and I laughed at that because it was. Hang on a second, I found it. It's here, Robert Fraser. It was an email. Thank you, Robert.
Stroker.
Yeah, so it's an add-on Autotrader for Impreza wide track 2.1 stroker.
Oh, it's a stroker. It's a real stroker. Yeah.
So, 2.1 stroker. All right, well, we should wrap this up. If you are Sade, please do get in touch, smithandsniff@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And if you fancy putting some of that £50 million fortune of yours our way, we do have a Patreon as well. Thanks ever so much.
Yeah,
love your work.
And we'll spend it really wisely. Hashtag hearse on eBay.
Yeah. Okay, before we go, I have 3 things to tell you. They are: 1, Jonny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Late Break Show. Many excellent things on there, including an update on his Impala lowrider.
The never-ending saga.
Never-ending saga of the lowrider. 2, I have loads of different books out. One of them is called Steel Flies, which is a spoof Cold War thriller, supposedly written by the fake car journalist Roy Lanchester. And 3, all pandas are owned by China.
Oh, did you say all?
Well, in the current world, all pandas in zoos outside of China are in fact on lease from China.
Really?
China charges millions for zoos to have their pandas, but they are only on loan and paid for, so I suppose it's technically a lease.
Is that because they're a sacred animal to China?
Yeah, and because they only exist in China, so China's now been able to control the panda market, I suppose. And there's a thing called Panda Diplomacy, where China has a history of giving pandas in the past, 2 countries, as part of a sort of diplomatic effort to get on side. But in recent times, China's been able to control the supply of pandas, I suppose you'd say, and so the pandas in zoos around the world are all China's property, except there's a pair in Mexico which were born there, and so Mexico claims them as their own.
That is brilliant. So if there was a swan in China, would that be the property of the Queen?
I'm not sure about that, because there are swans all over the world, aren't there? I think it's only British swans. I don't think the Queen owns all swans worldwide. That would be quite a big claim.
That's a shame. I was hoping that would be the case.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's fallen on its face, hasn't it? Oh well.
Something to aim for. Okay, well, anyway, that's that for this, and we'll see you again same time next week. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Cackled cars and references.